Hello and welcome. Paul Walker here, author of How to Achieve Set Goals and the founder of Build Success Academy. Now here we are, a couple of months already into the new year, and for a lot of people, unfortunately, their New Year's resolutions have probably fallen by the wayside. And if you're anything like me in years gone by, I went into New Year's resolutions and went into a new year with the very best of intentions of accomplishing those goals. But often I found myself, falling short and not accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish. And statistically, it's proved that within normally the first 2 to 3 weeks of setting a New Year's resolution, most people either quit or they're barely doing enough of what's required to keep them on track to achieving that goal. And if you're someone that maybe falls into that same sort of category, there is an answer and there is a way to make sure that you are achieving your goals, and I'm going to give those little tips and tricks to you a little bit later on. But I just wanted to, highlight for you that, accomplishment and goal setting and achievement, for a long time in my life really did not play a very significant role in my life. Right through early childhood, through my teens, and right up into my early 20s, I unfortunately grew up with a dad who was very critical of me. A lot of negative language, a lot of negative vibes, and to the point that I lived a very closed and sheltered childhood. I was very shy, and as I said, I was very shut off from, school friends and other people in my social circle, because I chose to believe in the negative stuff that he was telling me, and I chose to believe that I was worthless, and that, I probably wasn't going to amount to anything. I didn't know anything better. And as I said, I chose to believe what he was telling me. And it wasn't until I started to get into my early 20s and obviously start living my own life and got away from him that I realized that there was a whole lot of other people who were living more happy and positive lives and achieving things in their life that they really wanted to. And that was certainly where I wanted to be, and that's where I wanted to go. So I really set about learning and studying these types of people to try and hone in what it was that they were doing differently from me that were getting the results that they were getting. And throughout a lot of reading, research, interviewing people, interviewing experts, I found that there were some very core principles and foundations that these people were using to achieve what they wanted to achieve. And through learning that, I understood that I had two very profound moments in my life where I questioned, how I was living my life, what I'd accomplished up to that point, and certainly where I could see myself going into the future. The first moment happened when I was in probably my early to mid-teens. And around that time, as I said, my dad and I, we'd had a very strained relationship. We really didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. And at that time, my dad was making some really poor choices, which ultimately led to him making a very bad decision. It had catastrophic effects on me and my family, and certainly people within our inner circle, as well as affecting some other people as well. And the result of that decision, that very poor and bad decision that my dad made, led to him living, unfortunately, the rest of his life behind bars. And it really started to raise two questions for me, which were, am I using the freedoms and the choices that are so readily available to me to the best of my ability and to the best of my opportunity? And the answer was no. No, I wasn't. And for someone like my dad who made a very poor decision, those freedoms and choices were now taken away from him, or very greatly reduced. And here I was, someone who had those freedoms and choices readily available to me, but I wasn't using them to the best of my ability. And I really wanted to change that. I really wanted to live the life of the people that I'd met who were really living happy and positive lives and achieving what they wanted to achieve. So I set about studying, researching, interviewing these types of people to really find out what it was that they were doing differently to what I had been doing. Now, many years have passed since that incident happened with my dad, and the second profound moment happened with my mum. And my mum is probably the polar opposite of my dad. She's probably the most inspirational and motivational person I've had the privilege of knowing in my life. But for several years, my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer and fought that battle on and off for over 7 years. She had moments of remission and she was of good health and she lived a really happy and full life. But there were moments when the cancer came back, and each time it did come back, it came back more ferocious, more vicious, and attacked more areas of her body. And recently, my mum lost finally her battle with breast cancer. Thankfully, my sister and I, we were able to spend, the last sort of week to 10 days with my mum, and we really got to celebrate her life and enjoy all the moments that we had with her, knowing that the end was coming. And we got to spend some really great time and ask her the questions that we wanted to ask her and say everything that we wanted to say. But in the final moments of my mum's life, those questions started to come up for me again. Was I using my freedoms and my choices that were so readily available to me to the best of my ability? And again, those answers came up that no, I wasn't. And here was my mum, she just lost her life in the prime. She was only in the mid-50s when she passed. And, my mum probably could have lived another 30, 40 years more, done some amazing more things in her life. And because it was cut short, I started to question, what if I was in the same situation? Have I used every freedom and every choice that's available to me? And the answers that came up, because they were no, really made me get to a point where I made a very conscious decision that was going to change. That if that was going to happen to me in sort of 20, 30 years time, I wanted to know that I've lived my life and used those choices and freedoms to the best of my ability. So to grow up with two very, prominent people in my life, my mum, who passed away in her early 50s and, can no longer use those freedom and choices anymore, and my dad, who made a very stupid and bad decision and had those freedoms and choices taken away from him, I certainly didn't want to live a life where either of those two scenarios would happen for me. And the way I went about doing that, as I said, was through the research and reading and studying that I did of the people who were achieving the things that I wanted to achieve. And the results that I found were that these people lived a very specific life, and they lived their life to a certain kind of code and a certain sort of mindset. And I've been able to put all that information into a couple of things that have really sort of helped my life and turned my life around from someone who wasn't achieving and someone who was just kind of coasting through life to someone who has some purpose, has some clarity on their life, knows where they're going and knows how they're going to get there. And the result of that is what I'm going to present for you today, which is my free ebook, my free gift to you, my ebook, which is called Your Guide to Effective Goal Setting. And contained within this book are a lot of those fundamentals and principles that those high achieving people live by, put into some very easy to read terms and step-by-step methods of how you can go about setting a goal, achieving it, and living a sort of a happier and more positive life. Now, the book that I put together, as I said, has turned my life around tenfold. I can't tell you how much it's changed my life by understanding what these people were doing and having that applied to my life. So as my free gift for you today, I want you to click on the link below, enter your name, email, and I'll give you that free ebook as a gift for you today. On top of that, I also want to present you with the opportunity of joining my continuity program or my membership program, where each month you'll get an email from me which will contain a video similar to this, where I explain one particular tool or topic or a step-by-step method of how you can go about achieving the goals and achieving the things that you want in your life. Now, this video is going to be of high value. It's going to contain a lot of tricks, methods, step-by-step methods to use to really go on and achieve those things that you want in your life. So that's my gift for you today. So fill in your name and email in the form below. Jump on to the next page where you'll receive the link to download that free ebook, Your Guide to Effective Goal Setting, as well as have the opportunity to become a part of my membership program, where I'll go into a bit more detail of what you'll get in that membership program. But as I said, you'll get some videos, you'll get some information, you'll get some stories from myself and the research and the expertise that I've been able to pull up from my years of research and study, as well as interviews with some of the top experts and some of the top people I've had the privilege of knowing in my life who've gone on to achieve some very spectacular things in their life. So don't wait any longer. Enter your details below, grab my free ebook, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks.